Hello, guys.
Hey!
Hello. Welcome to the second part of the podcast.
Meldrick's making a cameo.
This is our octopus. We named it Meldrick. I named him after a character on Homicide. I thought it was a unique name. Anyway, I named stuffed animals. I mean, don't you? Anyway, welcome, guys. This is technically the second. We're not calling it Adam's Rambling Podcast this week, but because Anna's here. And it's,
Hi!
but like this is kind of what we're going to try to do more every week, every other week, a little podcast. Sometimes it might be a movie review. Sometimes it might just be talking about various things. Sometimes it might just be me. Sometimes Anna will join me. Sometimes there might be other people joining me eventually. But anyway, so here we are, second podcast. And we are here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we saw last Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
This will be spoiler free, so we're not going to spoil it because it's only been out a week, and I don't want to be,
Right.
I figure the internet itself will just spoil shit for you anyway
Yeah.
with every little article that you read. It's like, oh, thanks, glad I saw the movie.
Yeah. But we're considerate people, so we are
Yeah.
keeping it spoiler free as best we can. So, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yes.
The last entry being directed by James Gunn, since
Correct.
he is now head of the DCU.
Yep.
So, the things that are, yes, very exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So the plot is that our Guardians are at their home base in nowhere, the inside of the Celestial Head.
Yep.
This is post Endgame,
Correct.
post holiday special for those who saw that on Disney Plus.
Yep.
And they're just trying to live out their normal lives, except Peter Quill is still mourning the loss of Gamora, her basically another version of her from an alternate timeline, or really from the past.
Yeah.
Not alternate, just from the past.
Yeah.
Is now living in present day, but because she doesn't remember him or the other Guardians, she's traveling with the Ravagers instead. She has no sense of connection. And so he's really depressed and sad and drinking a lot. And Nebula is kind of stepping into that role as co-leader of the Guardians. Meanwhile, someone has put out a hit on Rocket Raccoon. And they've sent Adam Warlock after him, and they injure him very badly. And so basically the whole crux of the movie is the Guardians trying to save Rocket before it's too late. Yeah, I think that's the movie.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler free.
yeah. So what were your overall thoughts on it?
I really love this movie. I felt like it was a really nice return to form for the MCU in terms of like quality control. The effects look good. The intergalactic stuff feels original. Like there's a whole sequence involving biotech. Anyone who was like a Farscape fan back in the day kind of remembers like the inside of the Mora ship, which was also, for me anyway, showing my age here, that was my first sort of intro into like what a biotech thing could look like, and something that was organic but also technological. And so there's a whole sequence of biotech stuff in the film that's really original looking, like a kind of design that we haven't really seen in the MCU before.
Yeah.
And all the characters are in top form.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think what a couple other people will point this out too is that the humor actually works really well in here, because I know a lot of the complaints of MCU has been the too much humor, or humor at really awkward spots where it shouldn't be there, or relying too much on it, so much that it's like, yes, there's a thing of having levity, but there's also a thing of like it's okay to go a little dark here and there. And this movie definitely goes dark.
Yeah, it pushes that PG-13 rating hard.
Yeah.
Some of you may have already heard about the depictions of animal cruelty.
So be forewarned of that.
Be
as you go
forewarned,
into it.
yes. Now, fair is fair. It is all CG.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it is still very brutal and very harsh, and it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But it's very brutal. It's very harsh. It's very discomforting to watch. So just a heads up on that.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree. The performances were good. Everybody played their roles well. I enjoyed the villain. I liked the villain was evil, and he had his reasons and stuff like that. But I didn't feel like, well, we want you to feel sorry for this villain.
No.
He's like, no, we don't. He's bad. He's a bad man.
Yep.
And that's fine. I feel like there's been a lot of that too much especially with Disney involved, of just like, well, these people aren't really that bad. It's like, no, it's okay to have villains be villains.
Well, I mean, it's also like, like, I don't think there's an issue with people having layers.
Layers are fine.
But like, he is just evil.
Yeah.
And the high evolutionary. And he's played really well.
Yeah. If you guys watched Peacemaker, he was in that series. He had a smaller part in that, but he was
really good in that, in a very different character.
Yeah. I think he's very Shakespearean trained as well.
He is a Shakespearean trained actor.
So he's got a very nice, powerful Shakespearean voice and stuff. And yeah, he's really good.
Chukwudi Iwuji.
Yes. We hope we're pronouncing that right.
Yes,
if we aren't,
I hope
we
so.
apologize.
Yes. But yeah, he's really, really good. I hope to see a lot more of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's also a really cool, someone else pointed this out, a one-shot action sequence towards the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And it's just, it really, like, just the way they shot it and stuff.
Yeah, the way the camera circles around. Yeah,
and it
looks
catches
really
all
cool.
the characters. Everybody it looks good. Like I said, that's been one big thing of the MCU lately, is the CGI being really
dodgy.
Bad and dodgy.
Not the case here. It is, like I said, like, all the effects are top notch. Mm-hmm. Like the quality control of it is just really, like, in a high caliber. Yeah, which is really nice to see.
And it is very good. So you get to see Rocket's backstory a bit more, so kind of how he came to be who he was and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think really by the end of the movie, everybody's kind of in a different place than they were at the beginning of the movie. Yeah, you can kind of see where their characters are going and stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely a nice swan song for James Gunn.
It really is. Yeah. One of the things I really liked about it is, I mentioned this to you after we saw it, is the different portrayals and depictions of strength. Yes. A lot of the times in action films, like, it's fighting. It's how good of a fighter you are. And of course they're all, competent fighters. Right. But here it's more of an exploration of the different types of strength, mental strength, emotional strength. Yeah. That makes someone, special, and makes someone a good friend and a good companion. There's a real lean into, I feel, to, like, the group as a group. Mm-hmm. So that, which is nice. I feel like we haven't seen that in the MCU in a long, long time. Yeah. Like, since Civil War, since Captain America Civil War, honestly. Yeah. So it was nice to get that kind of group dynamic in an MCU film again.
Absolutely. You're like elbows right
Sorry.
in my neck there. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I feel like it's interesting with the Guardians too, because a lot of times they're bickering at each other, but they still have that kind of family connection. Yeah. It sounds like a real family. Everybody bickers with their mom and dad or their brother and sister. Yeah,
no one gets along 100% of the time.
Yeah, so it's like, but at the same time, you still love them and stuff like that. So I think, and that's the thing. I think, I hope that Kevin Feige and Disney or whatever, take a look at what this movie did and lean more into that as opposed to the sillier shit. Not that you can't have the silly shit, but, like, there has to be a balance.
Yeah, and there's more to the comic book genre than just like one note.
Yeah.
It's fun to have the silly stuff.
No, silly
a
stuff
part
is
of,
fun.
Yeah. I'm not
like,
saying that you said otherwise, but like the comic book genre has multiple subgenres in it.
Right.
That was what the thing I liked about Werewolf by Night.
Oh yeah.
The comic book horror subgenre,
Right.
which hadn't been touched on before. Getting to see that, like, there's all kinds of different things that you can play with.
If you go back
explore.
to Winter Soldier, you had very much the political thriller and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much that you can do and play with in the MCU, and it's just a matter of like, kind of spreading out your perspective rather than keeping it narrow and to the lowest common denominator of how much money you can make off of it.
And as I watched it too, I was thinking about some of the other stuff we've had recently, and it's just like, I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder really dropped the ball, because I mean, if you had Gar the God Butcher like literally killing gods throughout the movie and like make it dark, it's okay. You can have some levity and some comedy, but like you still have to play with the darkness. You still have to let the villains be villains and be, do some things that,
that are despicable and that horrify you.
Yeah. And you had Christian Bale there, for God's sakes. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So.
You had Jane Foster dying of cancer, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
In that film.
Not a time to really laugh.
I mean, a time to laugh. Like, you can still have humor in
like,
there, but like when it goes dark, go dark. Like.
And you think about it too. One of the other better movies that we got that went dark was Spider-Man: No Way Home. Because you had some, deaths in that.
Yes,
so,
you did.
But
there was also,
Yeah, and there was levity, but like...
Yeah.
It felt like Spider-Man had some loss. It felt like he had that kind of... had finally come to be the Spider-Man that we know.
And, and there was a vulnerability there. That I feel like all the best superheroes have is a sense of vulnerability to them, and we have that in Guardians of the Galaxy, and they've always been kind of that way, just because they are kind of like a group of outcasts. They've always kind of had that vulnerability of I don't know where I belong, I don't know who I am, I've lost this, I've lost that, I don't know how to like regain myself. My sense of self, and that's what's made them appealing, and that comes to the forefront here again, while also bringing those themes full circle. So it's a really well done movie. I feel like it's a very, not like it's going to present itself as a thoughtful movie, but like there's a lot of thought in the undercurrents of it.
And I think you can see the growth for James Gunn, even as a director.
Really, I would agree.
Yeah, it's definitely on a good level. So I think the DCU is in good hands. If you can make some movies, in the DCU
like that,
I think we'll have a good balance. Because and I think you have to. It's good to have those kind of moments of levity, but it's also good to have those moments of like being vulnerable, and it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. That's
a great lesson to teach kids, I feel.
And show also that everyone can make mistakes. It doesn't matter what your gender is or whatever. Anybody can make a mistake. Everyone can be a hothead.
Heroes make mistakes.
Human beings make mistakes.
And it's how they learn from those mistakes and recover from them and move forward that makes them heroes. That's in a lot of storytelling, that is the difference between heroes and villains, is how they react to their own mistakes. I don't know if I have anything else to say. This was a great movie. Highly recommend seeing it.
You said it's probably in your top 5.
I think
which
so.
we will soon do a podcast on the MCU, and what we'll do is we will go by phase, and we'll rank by phase first, and then we can do. I figure we can rank by phase.
I'm hearing this for the first time.
I've been mentioning this in other videos, but perhaps if you watch the other videos that I post, maybe be supportive of your husband.
I am.
Anyway,
shush.
Anyway, We're just playing around. This is what I'm saying. This is the report.
But okay, so by phase and then the whole.
And then we'll go
MCU?
through the whole,
Okay,
and we
got
can
it.
do. I think we had on a train once. We had ranked our favorite
Yeah.
villains and stuff like that.
But that was a few years ago.
Yeah, so we can update a few things. She hasn't watched all the Disney Plus shows, so I can do a ranking of that by myself. Of what
Yeah,
I liked best so
'cause-
far of what they put out. So yeah, good luck to James Gunn in the DCU. We look forward to what you have. I know he's working on Superman Legacy and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Congratulations to the cast and crew of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Absolutely, and best of luck to all them in their work. And shout out to Dave Bautista,
Yes.
the best acting wrestler I feel out there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he actually acts and makes an effort, as opposed to just being like, "Well, I'm here,
Yeah.
you know me."
Right, yeah. Like he like you feel him want to like grow and develop and improve.
Yeah, and
and
at the
he
same
has
time,
a lot.
I mean, that's another credit to James Gunn because he did the same thing with John
I was
Cena
about
in
to
Peacemaker,
say
yeah.
I was about to say John Cena was very good in Peacemaker.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Cool.
This is everything?
I think so. So
All
yes,
right.
obviously Marvel. I know they got some more shows coming out and more movies. Although obviously with the writer's strike, who knows when certain stuff will be
Yes.
out. Stuff that's already in the can, obviously, will come out.
Support the writers.
Yeah. But yeah, I know Secret Invasion is coming out at some point, which that looks pretty good. And then you have the Marvels coming out in November, which we'll see.
We'll see.
I like Miss Marvel. I think she's pretty good, but
Oh, yeah.
we'll see how things go. It doesn't look terrible, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
We'll see.
You never know.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this 16-minute podcast. So, and we'll be back again in the future with more MCU content as well as other
Yeah.
content. And
Yeah,
I might
maybe
do some
next
other things
time.
on here,
Yeah,
too.
maybe at a later date we'll go it more spoilerifically into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, maybe when we're
Yeah.
going through the rankings and stuff. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll have to. We have 2 movies in Phase 4. We still have to watch the Eternals. Well, I've watched Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. You haven't watched it.
No,
so
I haven't.
We'll have to watch the
I didn't wanna
Eternals. and we'll
cry.
have- I know. We'll have to watch the Eternals together, and then you'll have to watch Black Panther.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and then that way we'll be able to rank Phase 4. When we start Phase 1, we'll have time to do that. So, all right, guys, like and subscribe, and thanks for tuning into our podcast.
Thank
Have
you
a good
so
night.
much. Bye.